we're talking about people that have worked in these areas, right? Of them, our friend Representative Sean Patrick Maloney. Just know that what's the word? This is total bull.
That's correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The White House's story is complete. All right. Representative Sean Patrick Maloney joins us now. Really? I don't get to see you or the blue eyes. Is that what you're telling me? No FaceTime is what you're telling me?
I'm playing hard to get.
Yeah. You elusive little minx, Representative.
This whole gay thing. It's pretty elaborate, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a ruse.
Yes.
To be hard to get.
Yeah, you're just making me want it more.
For you.
Okay. All right. Listen, Representative. Let's move on.
See, it's working.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It was already weird in that we're both gay. But all right, listen.
Speaking of bullshit, yeah.
Oh, wow. You can't say that on my little family-friendly show. You're a father, for God's sakes.
Oh, sorry. Bleep that.
Wow.
We did.
Put me on delay now.
What do you think? You're the Russian spokesman? You can't say bull on my show. Okay. You tweeted, I was Clinton's White House staff secretary for 3 years. I know how classified information goes to POTUS. Every document the president has seen is stamped and dated. A record is kept. There's going to be a detailed record of exactly what Trump saw when he saw it. As you said, every document that goes to POTUS literally stamped, the president has seen, and a record is kept. So let the briefing documents testify. That's what I have to say, Representative. I don't know about you. I was actually shocked that on the wheel of treason, that's what they've picked. This is a hoax again? That he didn't see it and this is a hoax and he believes Putin? I guess we're in Helsinki too.
Well, of course, the White House has confirmed that that the intelligence exists, and it is confirmed, I believe, that National Security Advisor blamed the briefer, presumably also confirming that it was in the brief. But look, we know that the White House is lying about this. They're all over the map on it. And I hope we don't get caught up in who said what and who's lying again. The substance here really matters because with all the strum and drang, what is gone unanswered is what are they doing about it? Because whether he was briefed, a year ago or last week or read about it in the New York Times this morning, there needs to be an American response to this Russian action. So what are we doing? We should be right now engaged in an aggressive response to this on a number of levels because the Russians cannot be allowed to put bounties on our troops with impunity. So what are we doing about it?
Well, that was it. I mean, the headlines that Trump is calling it a hoax again, and the White House plans no response to this. I mean, as you said on Twitter, you said, when I'm not furious by the story, I'm just heartbroken that any American president would so utterly fail our troops. And we have families demanding answers.
Yeah, I said when I'm not furious, I'm heartbroken.
Right.
I'm both.
Right.
And I think if come on, if you lost your brother or a kid in Afghanistan, we know the names of 3 Marines that were killed in a roadside bombing near Bagram Air Base in early 2019. That, according to public reports, was an instance where bounties were paid. If that's true, what are you going to say to those families? I mean, my God, what if they can't look to the American government to protect their kids in uniform in the field? If we can't agree about that, then we are lost. And if the Republican Party can't find the backbone to stand up to the president on this, then they are truly lost.
Representative, I know we're all exhausted, and we're all like, oh, okay, there's no time for an impeachment again, and they won't. But I mean, the fact that we're not all as one calling for him to resign, the fact that there has to at least be investigation for precedent, doesn't there? I mean, we have to get to the bottom of this. I know there's only 4 months to the election, but this is so serious, right? That this is. As you say, as Americans, we have to. I can't even get my head around what to do.
Well,
talk to us about what to do.
I think that people should know that when you get below the political hacks and the ideologues, the White House, the spineless, Deadwood in the Senate, there are some capable, patriotic people working at the Pentagon and the CIA and the National Security Agency. I'm going to get briefed by them this morning in a classified setting. And those people I have a lot of respect for, and they take this stuff seriously. And so there is going to be oversight, and there are going to be a lot of questions asked. Thank God we got a free press that is also digging into this. And so that's important. But really, we're 4 months out from an election. and everybody is on the ballot who is involved in this kind of thing, either because they're doing nothing like the president, or they're going along for the ride like the Republican Senate. And I just hope there's an ass kicking in November, because there has to be a message sent that this is not okay.
Now, you mentioned a classified briefing. I feel like someone that would say Bolt on my show might be a little more loosey-goosey with sharing the classified information with us than, say, Chairman Schiff was a couple days ago. I feel like you might have might be a little more freestyle. Maybe call us tomorrow?
Wait, hold on. Wait. What'd you ask?
Are you asking him to divulge classified
No,
information?
not divulge. Just let slip like he did the S-bomb. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I mean, no, I'm not gonna speak about classified information. But what I am going to comment on are the public reports that are jaw dropping.
Yeah.
And if true, there ought to be an outcry from everybody. I don't care what party you're in.
I loved your tweet. You said Trump didn't hear the white power part of the tweet he retweeted, didn't hear the intel brief on Russia paying Taliban to kill our troops. So he's a racist who betrayed our military, or just a dangerous dumbass, you choose. P.S. 130,000 Americans are still dead from COVID. And as I was just reading a new study, representative saying that is an undercount by probably 28%. And as we know, we are spiking everywhere in the country. We are reclosing. There still is no plan. I couldn't believe the president yesterday actually said, again, this is just going to disappear. That's his plan?
I mean, I think those of us who lived through the intensity of the peak in New York and who are heartbroken to see other Americans in Florida and Texas now going through it, we just don't think that's funny. I mean, there's 125,000 Americans. Those are neighbors, grandparents, and friends who are gone. And a lot of them didn't have to die if we had our act together at the national level. And we're going to lose a lot more people. And every country on earth that's got its act together on this and that has got a handle on the virus has had a comprehensive national testing system and contact tracing. It's pretty basic at this point. And we've just blown it. And there's so much virus still in these states, particularly in the South, that you can't effectively do that. And so they're going to have to shut down again. Yeah. That means the economic crisis gets prolonged, and much of this was preventable. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And that's on the president. And so people in the southern states have to speak up, because it's their families, their friends that are going to be affected, their grandparents that are going to be affected. And I don't take any pleasure in this. It is going to make a really bad situation even worse. But I'm glad we get an election in 4 months.
Yeah.
And everybody who's not registered to vote, who's listening to this radio broadcast, go out and register today. Don't wait. Get involved. Yeah. We need your help.
But Representative, 4 months, that's a lot of dead people at this current rate, as Dr. Fauci said. Our coronavirus testing czar, did you see this, said coronavirus testing capacity is at risk of being overwhelmed in some states by the surge in new infections. He said it's absolutely correct. Some labs across the country are reaching or are near capacity. Recent data from several states indicate rising infections, now an uptick in hospitalizations and death. He emphasized that young adults, who account for the majority of the new cases, must be vigilant about practicing social distancing and wearing a mask. I mean, at every stage, what they said was wrong. Oh, young people don't have to worry about this, right? So young people went out, obviously, because that was the message they got. So anyway, the czar went on to say, when you have a lot of younger people who are asymptomatic, particularly in an outbreak situation, it's much harder, if not impossible, to contact trace. I mean, there has been no plan, Representative, in any right step of the way here. Testing, tracing, all of that stuff. And now look at where we are economically, right? Fed officials raised concerns in June that the U.S. will enter a much worse recession later this year if coronavirus cases continue to spike, which now they are, right? So now we are still in an economic disaster and in a burgeoning pandemic, right?
Yeah, these things are related. You gotta beat the virus, and then you'll get your economy back. We'll get the economy going. The longer it takes to beat the virus, the more damage we have to the economy. That's the problem with not listening to the experts and dicking around for weeks in the South.
Can't say that either.
When we should have been having an effective response. The problem with exponential growth is that time really matters, and if you don't get your act together early on, the problem gets too big to handle.
Yeah. Yes, much like our ability to bleep your constant profanity, sir. Now,
hey, that's not a profanity. I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yes, that's okay. I assumed you hung up on yourself before you swore again, so I wasn't.
I thought maybe your network overlord just was like, we're cutting this guy off.
Yeah.
Taking him
Or I assume a former Catholic boy. Were you giving yourself like a brief penance, a brief time in confession?
What do you mean former? What are you talking about? I'm a current Catholic.
Oh.
I think.
Oh, I thought, yeah, I'm a member of the largest group, and that is ex-Catholics. But okay, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, good. You still practice. I used to practice, and I got so good I went professional. So let's move on. Representative, okay, so we were talking about the twin, just that we're in this health crisis still, and that it is going to cause an ongoing economic crisis. At the same time, what did they call? Who called it? The Republic? Was it Kevin McCarthy said, "Oh, it's just unproductive to keep giving people money," despite the fact that we are shutting down the economy, right? I mean, this ridiculous sort of longtime conservative thing that, it makes people lazy. Oh, yeah, people don't want to work. Can you address that?
Yeah, look, I'm going to predict to you that they're going to rethink those comments when the problem continues to grow in red states. And that's a sad commentary on the state of our politics. But you just watch Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy start caring about this when a bunch of Republican governors and Republican members of Congress and Republican senators say, we are getting killed and we need help. And It's sad, but that's what's going to happen. So I actually believe that because this has become a more national phenomenon and is affecting states of all political persuasions, you're going to see more consensus around the federal response. But boy, that shouldn't be how it works.
Right, and sadly, as we were saying, Representative, we know these job numbers are going to go right back down. No one has even asked Trump about we are reclosing. He's like, we're reopening. It's going to go away. It's like, we're not reopening. We're reclosing. Right? Those are all jobs that are going away now, as we know. And I was mentioning this, Federal Reserve officials raised concerns about additional waves of coronavirus infections, disrupting economic recovery and triggering a new spike in unemployment and a worse economic downturn, according to these new minutes now that were released. And this was from a June 9th and 10th meeting. The Fed chair said the path out of this recession will depend on containing the virus and giving Americans the confidence to resume normal work and spending habits. But notes from the new two-day meeting reveal now how interconnected Fed officials view the economic recession with the pandemic's continued spread, and why Powell often asserts that lawmakers will need to do more to carry millions of Americans out of this crisis. I mean, and now here we are, right? The rubber is hitting the road again.
Yeah, I have a one-word response. Duh. I mean, like, obviously, right? Obviously, the longer this goes on, the bigger the economic problem. We know that. And all of these federal programs, which have been robust and which have been doing a pretty good job, not perfect, but the PPP program, the direct payments to people, the expanded unemployment insurance, that has been a lifeline. It has been a bridge across this chasm. The problem is that the other side of the chasm is moving further away, and the programs won't work, or they'll cost hugely more if it takes longer. These small businesses can hang on for a while, but they have to be able to reopen, and they can't reopen until it's safe.
Thank you.
So what is so frustrating for those of us who have been through this and have done the right thing, look at what has happened in New York. The infection rates, the hospitalization, the deaths have come dramatically down. By the way, almost every other country on earth has successfully done this as well. It is only the United States, in the parts of the country that insisted on opening too early, that denied the science, that followed the president's lead on this, that have had an explosion of cases. And it's a tragedy because a lot of people are going to get hurt. But it's going to hurt us all, even if we've been in places and we've been individually doing the right thing, because ultimately we're all in this together.
Well, and I have to say, we're out here in California, which presumably a blue state that believes in facts and science, and we're having a huge spike, and we presumably we're doing everything right initially, but it just shows you how we all, as you said, we all have to do it. And unfortunately out here we have our Bill Maher's and our anti-vaxxers and people that also were urging reopenings and appear to believe the science. So it doesn't matter what reason you don't believe the science. It's, as you say, like the virus isn't on our timeline. We're on its.
Yeah, no, that's right. And it's a measure of how pernicious and how infectious this virus really is, and so that just means we've got to be extra responsible as we try to reopen, because that's when the danger arises.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
So we're doing it slowly in New York. We've been doing it well.
Yep, we're out of time for real this time.
Sorry about the trouble.
Representative Sean Patrick Maloney, thanks so much. See you soon.
Anytime.
All right, bye-bye.